Game is loading. Looks like the rest of the tournament's going to be a lot of Terran and Protoss, huh?
That's correct. Although this is one of two left in the tournament in terms of Terran. So in the top left, we have our blue Protoss. It is Paladin.
And in the bottom right, sporting the purple trunks, it's going to be our Terran opponent. His name is Perseus.
So earlier today when we saw Perseus playing, he favored really heavy mech play. I believe that was the game against Spider Slayer. And it seemed to be pretty effective in that circumstance. Do you think that that's going to be as effective against Protoss, or do you think he's going to opt for a more mobile bio play?
Well, we talked to him, and he said he does really like the mech play, but he does have some bio up his sleeve, so I don't think we can really make a good judgment on what it's going to be. He wasn't exactly sure if he was going to be going up as a PvP in this game, as it could have been, I think it could have been Spider Slayer again, if he would have followed through the bracket, but he's putting down an early gas, so that certainly indicates, I believe, some mech or some really early Reapers.
Mm-hmm.
Protoss is going to be just putting out his gateway. That is a really early gas, even before barracks. So he's sending out the scout immediately after he finished that supply depot to the lower right base and then queuing it up to that top right base. So he's going to be making his third stop, the actual Protoss base. So he's going to be pretty far behind on the scouting as he now comes down to put down that Nexus as he's already at 30 gas.
Yeah, both players have gotten the ill luck of choosing the wrong direction to scout in. If they continue in the trajectories that they are heading, they are going to be late scouting each other.
Perseus, or Paladin, puts down his gas and cues his probes directly into it as his gateway is finishing. He'll be following that up with a cybernetic storm. Oh, he canceled his gateway. That must have been a misclick, as he has in chat. He did not mean to cancel that gateway. So
Perseus is confused as to the sudden outcry of wailing.
Well, Paladin's, I'm going to have their names mixed up for some reason in my head, but Paladin's gateway is going to be horribly late, but Perseus's barracks was a little bit delayed because of that early gas, but there's going to be a reason for that, as he's going to be cranking out a Marine and putting down an extremely fast factory. So we'll see what comes of that likely Widow Mines. Perseus is now coming up to scout Paladin. He's going to see...
You know, I'm going to disagree with you there. I think he's going to go Hellion instead of Widow Mine.
I think so.
But we'll see.
Comes in to harass the gas probes of Paladin a little bit. See how much damage he ends up taking if he actually pays attention close enough to get a kill on that. He probably is also noticing the cybernetic score is extremely late.
Paladin does manage to get a probe into Perseus's base, and it is chased down by the Marine. Does see that there's only one gas down, but also scouts that factory.
He's going to be switching that barracks with the factory as soon as that reactor is completed, and I'll place bets on mines. Nick's got Hellions. We'll see what happens. Nope. Little one hex off on that placement there. Delay what he's doing a little bit. And it's going to be the Hellions. It looks like Perseus is going to spot the expansion of Paladin. Paladin may be hoping with that early gateway cancel that he can get ahead economically now, since his unit tech's a little behind that. Mothership core coming out to give him a little bit of protection. Stalker coming out as well. We'll be able to handle those Hellions pretty well now with that Mothership core and the Stalker. Hellions now on the map. As we remember from our previous games against the Zerg, he did favor those Hellions quite a bit, as he was very active with them in big numbers.
That's right. Starport nearly finished. We have more Hellions being pushed out. The first two are running towards the natural to try and pick off what it can. But it is met immediately with a Stalker Zealot Mothership.
Looks like
welcoming
Paladin's
party.
spidey sense was going off, knowing that something was coming as he moved his Stalkers and Mothership core down, but Perseus will be rallying his Hellions together, so now he'll have a total of 4.
We see a medevac getting created out of that starport. It's likely he's going to link that up with those Hellions and just go for a Hellion drop in the back of the main.
He does have it rallied right across the top of those Hellions as his second command center comes down.
We also see a starport going down for Paladin. And what do you think from that? Oracles?
Stargate at this point, if
Probably
I was
Vikings?
thinking MC, I would hope Phoenix, but I'm guessing it's probably going to be Oracle, as it is Oracle. Obviously, if you watch the last MLG at all, MC made the Terrans cry with his Phoenix play, really hampering the use of those medevacs. And Perseus, we know, really does favor those medevacs, so if he had the APM and ability, it would definitely be a good play, but it looks like he's just going to go with the Oracle. Unfortunately, that Oracle is going to be rallied right across the path of this medevac, depending when it comes out. See if he's going to high-five that medevac and see how he reacts to see if that coming in. He's going to
And
warp
Perseus
more stalkers.
speed boosts out of there, trying to not get seen. Looks like he was successful. But those stalkers are right there to greet him.
Two of those stalkers were on break. They weren't sure if they were supposed to be on the job or not, so that medevac is able to get away without having to use its boosters since they were on cooldown since he boosted in. The Oracle is going to come into Perseus's base though, and the mine is going to shut that down. We just interviewed Defraz, and he said the one hitch to the Oracle play against Terran is if you put those mines back there, they can really get taken out easily by those mines in only one shot.
And there's a good demonstration of that. Double Forge going down now.
Actually, it's going to be a single Forge Twilight Council as he changes his mind. Paladin does have 3 stalkers in the upper right corner of his natural, expecting some drops to come, but it doesn't look like there's really going to be anything over there. But there is one mine now coming into the main of Paladin. He's going to just hold that next to the Stargate to shut down any Oracle production, because as soon as that unit pops out of the Stargate, it's just going to fire off. It does end up taking a shot at the Zealot, killing it, taking down the shields of another. But it doesn't look like Paladin really has a plan of using that Stargate a whole lot more as he's going down the Twilight tech path.
Perseus still on 1 gas at the 9-minute and 30-second mark. Taking a third now.
It's definitely clear he's going to be going heavily bio. It must be definitely more Marine since he's not favoring the gas. But he is taking a third base also with that extra minerals that he's getting from not harvesting as much gas. There's a full medevac also full of Hellions, the same one that dropped on the left side, on the right side by his natural where those stalkers are standing watch.
And now we see the probe going down to take the third for Paladin.
He's going to boost in, but he spots those stalkers, I think, because he was a little tedious about... Sees the stalkers, decides to come in anyway, going to skirt the edge and pull back. Probably a wise decision.
But another move in from Perseus by the starport. The tank takes out a Zealot, giving some aid, but...
It was a nice play dropping right next to that mine, because that mine went off on those stalkers, doing some damage. Decides to leave a couple units behind to suicide.
Well, the
Now
medevac did get taken down with 2 Hellions in it.
He's going to think about boosting in with this medevac. He started to and then still decided not to, seeing that Paladin did not pull his stalkers back. But now he is able to scout Paladin's third base, which is not yet completed, but at least he knows it's there.
Perseus puts down 3 more barracks and is getting his 1-1-ups.
That mine next to the Stargate definitely still causing some trouble for Paladin. Now as he has 2 High Templar in range of it, he's going to move it up and try and inch it a little closer with not much health as the cooldown is coming close. That Zealot is still in range, which could do some damage to that Forge, but it'll just be shield. The cooldown's going to wind down on that mine, see what he ends up doing. He ends up pulling the Zealots out just at the last second. Wise play. Perseus starts moving out towards the center of the map. Looks like he's going to get in a position to try and pressure this third base of Paladin as he starts rallying some probes. This mine is... looks like it got taken out. Nice feedback on the medevac, so those Hellions are committed now. They are not going anywhere, but they do take out those expensive High Templar. That's going to be a big loss for Paladin, as it's a lot of gas lost to those Hellion units. But now Perseus is moving into that third base. Paladin does not have nary a unit in sight to do anything about it, so he's just going to pull his probes back and sacrifice that base.
The units lost tab is neck and neck right now prior to that Nexus falling.
All the units show up late to the party. Now if Perseus had a drop over here, there's only 1 Stalker defending after pulling his entire army back to deal with that push. He is going to decide to put down his base again while leaving half of his army there and half his army more halfway between his bases.
Perseus doesn't have any medevacs nor any in production at the moment, and he has his factory floating over his starport. Not scouting, not doing much of anything, just kind of hanging out.
Seeing those High Templar, Perseus is now making ghosts to deal with that. It is a very effective counter to those, as once you can get in good position to get those EMPs off, it just negates those expensive units that do so much damage to the bio army.
See a single Hellion going up, trying to scout out where the army is. Maybe try and poke in, but gets pushed back.
Paladin is definitely thinking that there may be some kind of push coming, because he's got his army in a nice spread down here by his natural.
Now we see Perseus moving an SCV over to the next base, trying to take a fourth.
Perseus definitely favoring his expanse, definitely looking like it's going to be a longer macro game. +3/+1 for Protoss going down, +3 armor, +1 attack, with +2 attack for Protoss along with the combat shields for Marines. Still producing lots of Marines, lots of Marauders, lots of Medivacs. Looks like there is one single Hellion butting heads with a Zealot. With that speed, you're guaranteed one hit, but that's not going to be enough as he lures them right into the lair of the rest of the army. One Zealot also down here scouting out this third base of Perseus. So now we end up going to a little bit more of an idle moment. Looks like Protoss is still continues upgrades, putting down some static defense. Cannon at his third.
The Paladin has some great spread on these High Templars. He's just got a handful at the main drop points that are likely from Perseus. But now we see a big bio ball just kind of poking around.
Hellion's going to poke up to verify where the army is before the main army comes up, and another scan just in case he wasn't sure enough. Paladin's definitely going to want to pull these High Templar up. He does not have any High Templar at his main army, and that's going to be a big issue in this big wad of bio steps up here. He needs those storms.
And here's the engagement.
He gets some great storms off this army that's going to spell doom for Perseus, and
there's
he gets
one
sort of okay storm, but that's not going to do it.
There's another.
Largely a storm of the Zealots. That's an excellent storm. Another one to keep pushing Perseus back. Oh, that is an excellent storm.
And the bio ball just melts. A lot of red units there.
Great job of pushing Perseus back.
Excellent use of High Templars.
It's like Perseus rallying some units up. Gonna send them up the left to just kind of poke at this expansion up here. We'll call this the Alpha Team.
There's a robotics bay going down in Paladin's base, and he's putting down another robotics facility, looking like he's going to be switching into Colossus.
Good play, definitely a good play with those Templar, and a good time to do it too, since Perseus is not really doing anything with his Stargate. He's not gonna, if he doesn't scout it, he's not gonna have any answer to that, such as Vikings.
Small bio hit squad going up towards the right, stimming to try and take down this pylon while the drop is getting ready to drop in the main.
We got the Navy SEALs on the right and the Delta Force on the left.
And the High Templar have been taken out from that position in the last engagement, so they are not there to feed back the medevacs, and that drop is going to do some damage before it gets chased out.
Looks like he is going to scout out that Colossus tech, so we'll see what his response is to that as Photon Overcharge goes down on the Nexus. He has no units here to answer this, so he's just nicely staying out of range of that Photon Overcharge to take out as many tech structures as he can. High Templar now coming in. If they can get in range of those medevacs, he can feed back them and potentially do some damage. He did get some damage done, but unfortunately they didn't have enough energy to kill them.
Another drop loading up and boosting out.
Perseus is just going to drop his units down and give them a little heal. Not a lot of energy left on those medevacs after the feedback, but enough to heal them up enough to stim up and try and do some damage to this base. But Paladin is ready this time. He's got his army there with tons of High Templar as Perseus just picks up right into Paladin's main. Nice feedback, but he is going to get out with most of his units.
The Colossus count goes up to 1. There's another in production, and we do not see any Vikings in production or starports out of Perseus, so those are going to largely go unanswered for the time being, and it looks like Paladin is moving down, trying to mount an offensive, tired of trying to push away these drops. Zealots go into the 5th that is currently going down of Perseus as the main army gathers at the front.
That base is definitely going to go down if it doesn't even finish. Paladin's going to have a really strong push at the front with so many High Templar. Even just a single Colossus is super important. That AoE damage is just going to destroy this bio army. Checking the upgrades, look like Terran is
Stimming trying to get out of there. There's the storm on the ramp.
Protoss even has an upgrade advantage as he has +3
High
armor.
Templar kind of going up the ramp. And a few get picked off before spending their energy. And just storms in the line.
There is a couple mines there. I'm not sure if it went off and if it did what it hit, but he needs to mine those High Templar as they are in range. If he can get that Colossus up closer to the cliff, he can be up there to have nice... Oh, nice storm in that army sitting up. Another nice storm takes out most of it with just the storm. So first, Paladin is going to be just pushing right up in here and just taking this out with relative ease. And that's the GG for Perseus.
Paladin takes game 1.
That was a very decisive game, I would say. Perseus just kept trying to do those same drops as he was, but he just wasn't having the success in this game as he was previous.
He was doing a good job of keeping the army pinned back, and I think that's what he was trying to do. He wanted to keep expanding, but he wasn't able to mount the numbers that he needed to, and those storms really did a lot of damage to him at key points when he wanted to be able to push forward, and he just didn't get enough utility out of those ghosts as he was hoping. I'm not even sure that we saw one EMP go down.
Wouldn't even consider those ghosts really an effect on the games at all. I didn't even see them involved, really.
There was one point towards the end there where he did try and move a ghost forward to theoretically EMP, but it did get picked off before it was able to drop the payload, as it were. And so it really rendered ineffective. You know, I think that there was just a certain point where Paladin decided, I am happy with the army that I have. I'm tired of being pinned back in my base, and I'm just going to push forward.
Yeah, the composition of Templar and Colossus are just great, especially if you can put the Terran in a position where he's not making those Vikings to counteract it. It's just so strong because those Vikings will take out the Colossus easily, but he didn't really even make that many Colossus. He had 3, I think, at the most.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, those storms are actually really effective against Vikings, too, if you can have enough of them.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it seems like he was relying, hoping to bait the Vikings out of the Colossus and relying more heavily on the High Templar, and the bait was not taken.
I've been saying in the last